Welcome to the History Fair 2020. This category for this year is breaking barriers in history, and we're going to be covering some more of what that means here in a second. Real quick, I want you to take note of these websites: the nhd.org website, the Florida History Day website, Chronicling America. You'll be able to get those websites from your teacher. We'll post that information for you. If you have a question, come see us, and we will gladly share those links again with you. Important things for you to know about. The one thing I do want you to write down is this one, 16 September. This is going to be your first milestone, giving me your idea of what the topic is going to be, what you want to do for breaking barriers. As you can see, we have other milestones to go down. The entire school is doing these same milestones at the same time. And again, these will be posted for you. You don't need to write this down right now. You just want to know about the 16 September one for giving the topic. So what is the History Fair? Well, you guys know what a science fair is, right? This is way cooler than a science fair. Why is it way cooler than the science fair?
Because it's about history.
Exactly right. It's about history, so of course it's going to be way cooler. You're going to focus on a topic that you want to do. You're going to get to choose to do it in a way that you want to do it. You guys remember the trifolds for science fair? That's one of the things we can do, but we can do a lot more. We'll talk about that here in just a second. So topics, be imaginative. You can go to the NHD.org site, and it has a whole bunch of examples of topics for this. And what is our topic again? What is the theme this year? Breaking barriers. So there's going to be a lot of Jackie Robinsons out there, like a lot of Jackie Robinsons. You guys know who Jackie Robinson is? Baseball player. He was black. He made it into the major leagues, the first guy to make it into the major leagues. That's what we're talking about when we say breaking barriers. So that's an idea. It cannot be within the last 25 years. There's no historical context for the last 25 years. So something that's older for that, for most of you guys, 25 years. That's ancient history anyway, right? For me, it's like last week. See a teacher for some ideas. If you don't find ideas on the NHD website, that's going to be fine. Here's some things for you. Breaking barriers, women's history, so the suffragist movement, things like that. There's going to be a lot of those type of things. African Americans in the military and the barriers that they broke through. Or if you want to go off the beaten path, breaking the sound barrier. That's a barrier that was broken as well. And that's what I mean by thinking outside the box. The collapse of the Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall was a barrier. When that came down, that was a barrier that was broken. Think outside the box. Categories. There's individual categories and group categories. Note up there it says 2 to 3 people. No more than 2 to 3 people in the group. Has anybody been working in a group where somebody didn't do all of their work? Yeah, if you choose to be in a group, pick wisely. But I certainly don't want any big groups because of that problem. Categories that you could do it in. Like I said, we can do the trifold just like you do for a science fair, and that's okay. That's going to be, in fact, a lot of people doing that. But you can do a performance, you can do a documentary, or you can do a website as well. You got all of these different options that you can do. Some parts that you're going to have to do. Process paper, that's going to be due on the 21st of October. It is an explanation of your project in general. I got some details on that. One thing is only 500 words. You cannot write more than 500 words. 501 words. Can you do that? People get disqualified for over 500 words. Somebody asked me in one class, what's the minimum? I said 500. I'm just kidding, of course. But let's go 400 to 500. If you do bare minimum work, I mean, like 3 words is less than 500, right? Would that be a good process paper? No. You know, a bare minimum would result in a bare minimum grade, so you're going to write a good, beefy process paper. It's an assignment. We'll explain that as we get closer to it. It will be broken into 4 different parts. You don't have to write this down. Like I said, when you get the assignment, you'll see that you have 4 different elements, 4 paragraphs to this process paper. So there's some structure there. Something else with structure is the annotated bibliography. You all have done a bibliography, correct? This is just a bibliography with an annotation, a few sentences that explain what you got from that source. So if it's a website, what did you find interesting? What turned you on? What Did it lead you to something else? Did it make you to think about something else? Did it cause you to dig deeper and go to a different point? That's what the annotation does. At the high levels of competition, the annotation is really, really important. It's what separates a really, really good project from an unbelievably outstanding project. So you want to put time and effort into doing this and doing it well. I've talked about some of the rules they have. You'll find all those rules here at nhd.org. Look for the rule book. All you have to do is really type in nhd.org rule book, and this is what's going to come up for you. It's going to give you everything that you need to know, like specific things on the exhibits. Anybody recognize this team? This is our team from real life at Tallahassee with their competition. So you have the old trifold board, but this is a 3D thing. They made up their entire thing. Last year we had one that was circular on a pedestal that spun. You can be creative. In fact, please be creative with your displays. We have a standard kind of display with a little bit of creativity in here. You'll see all these little white cards. You're limited to a maximum of 500 words on each card. Justin, I can see that you want to write more than 500 words. Sorry, only 500 words per card, okay? So we have some limits on that. Also, you're going to have a thesis statement someplace clearly outlined. We've talked about theses. Are they important? Super important. So someplace you're going to have it where it says thesis, and your main thesis is going to be up there. There are limitations on size. This is a team from real life at Tallahassee, and you can see that you can go up to 6 feet in height. There are dimensions. That's all spelled out in the rule book. You'll find something that looks like this in the rule books. You can have multimedia devices, however, you're responsible for it. That means you need to know how it operates. Its battery life has to be long enough. The cord has got to reach. If somebody walks away from it or with it, that's kind of your problem also. So in using electronic media, pay close attention. Make sure you have that well under control. Like I said, we're limit 500 words for each one of the individual cards, and you'll be able to go into the rule book and see more information on what is required in there. Our performance category, this is our team that went to Washington, D.C. just a couple of years ago. So we've taken a team all the way there. A performance is, as you can imagine, just a dramatic representation. And it can be kind of this, 2 or 3 people talking to each other and playing out the historical act, or it could be what they did, or what Ashley did. Turn it into a narrative with a song that goes along with it. They added their own music into it. They had a person running a computer with this score that they developed themselves. They actually took Best in Show at Lake County, then they took Best in Show first place in Tallahassee, and then they placed 10th in the world at the national competition in Washington, D.C. We had Pakistan, Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea at that competition. So not only do we have all the states at nationals, but other countries compete against us. And for Real Life Christian Academy to place in the top 10 in the world, that says a lot. That's a big deal. Those girls did an amazing job. There is a time limit on it, no more than 10 minutes. And you want to be up to 10 minutes. I think their show was at 9 minutes and 32 seconds when all was said and done. Any media devices that you elect to use are, again, same thing. You're responsible for. Oh, by the way, even when you go into the competition room, you have to take it in all yourself. Anything that you bring, you set up, you take care of, you run. I can't do anything. In fact, I'm not permitted to help you once you're at the door. Once we get up to the door, you have to go into that room, bring everything with you by yourself. So keep that in mind as you're thinking through what you're going to do. You can make up costumes, so something you may want to consider. Documentary, there's another form that we use. Documentary, simple. You're making a YouTube video. That's all that is you creating a video that you're going to edit, you're going to put together, you'll make it as cool as you want. It's all based on your effort. Parents are not involved. They can't help you with it other than helping you maybe film something like holding a camera. If you're talking, they can hold a camera. But that's about the extent of the effort they're going to be. And of course, if you run into any technical issues, your parents won't be there to help you. You've got to know what's going on with it. Let's see. That's kind of what we talked about in terms of this is your thing. Also, you have to provide the judges with a DVD of your project, so you need to know how to burn these DVDs. And if you're wondering about an example, let me go ahead and show you one right here.
The Battle of Yorktown and the Treaty of Paris greatly demonstrates the theme of conflict and compromise, but it's not what you might think. This documentary will walk you through the exciting history of the great conflict and compromise from the eyes of the British. So drop your cheeseburgers and pick up some tea and biscuits, because we're about to travel back in time.
We're going to need to go a little farther than that. In order to fully understand Britain's point of
Get the idea?
look at the series of events that led to the American Revolution and further.
As two of our students, they took this documentary, which was really good, by the way. I use it in my class, and they took it to Tallahassee, and they placed in the top 10 in the state of Florida in the year that they competed. You can also create a website. Anybody do a website before? Okay, one issue with the website this year is Weebly is not in operation. So right now, we don't know what website is going to be used, but we do know that rules are going to be the same. I've been in contact with the state of Florida, and we're waiting on information from the NHD site in Washington, D.C. on that. The web page is as cool as you make it. You have to have a home page. Obviously, it has to have valuable links that work to other places. Good narratives. Last year, I was one of the judges at county, and I saw some that where you clicked on a link and the link didn't work. Of course, that was off to the side. They were no longer competitive. So pay attention to what you're doing and just make it as cool as you possibly can. Make it something where other people look at it and go, wow, I want to spend some time here and fish around and dig around. It's really, really interesting. So it's your imagination which is going to make it happen. If you do choose to use any video clips, they cannot be longer than 4 minutes. We had a team last year. Theirs was 4 minutes, 2 seconds. They were disqualified. So it has to be less than. It can be really, really short. It just can't be over 4 minutes. Really, really important. Production, again, it's all you. You're the ones that's going to put it together. You're going to make it work. You have to be able to solve any problems. If a judge asks you a question, you got to know what's going on. So you can't turn to your parents and say, hey, help me build this, and then get asked a technical question and you have no idea what's going on. All right, everybody say, thank you, Mr. Deneen.
Thank you, Mr. Deneen.
You guys remember Mr. Deneen, right? Yeah. Mr. Deneen was at this school when we started this program. He and I brought it up from the very beginning. He was the lead on all of this, and he did a great job of making Real Life Christian Academy very, very competitive in this scene. In fact, historically, since we've gone to Lake County, we have won about half of all the first and second place awards. From the very first year through last year, we go there, and it's a lot of fun for us. We go in, they call another school, they call us for first and second place in the category, maybe another school. We get called 2 or 3 more times, then another school. That's pretty cool. I like that a whole bunch. In fact, we've also won Best in Show for 2018 and 2019. Our winners have gone on to state competitions and placed first and third place for the state of Florida. The first place and the second place winners get to go on to Washington, D.C. Third place winner is the standby for either a first or second place that has to drop out. So that was really, really close last year. And in Washington, as I told you before, we placed in the top 10. How cool is that? Oh, by the way, we spent a whole week in Washington, D.C., and part of it is at the competition. The rest of the time, we're sightseeing, just waiting for the award ceremony to come on. All right. Well, that's it. Here's my last plea to you, and I'm really, really serious about this. I really want to go to Washington, D.C. Really, really, really. I really need you guys to do a good job so I can go to Washington, D.C. Can you get me there? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Any questions?